Well, Premier Doug Ford and Education Minister Stephen Lecce will hold a news conference in about an hour's time as CUPE education workers return to work this morning following days of political protests. And here with reaction and what is next at the bargaining table, we are joined live by Laura Walton, the president of CUPE's Ontario School Board Council of Unions. Laura, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me this morning.
First off, so we have just learned about an hour ago that there will be a news conference with the Premier and Education Minister Stephen Lecce. Were you given a heads up at all about this? Do you have any idea what it will be about?
I have not been given an update about it or a heads up about it. I wish that when we were having these, my gut didn't sink. But I've got to, understand that they are going to get out into the media and talk. I think what's really disappointing about this is that not knowing what it's going to be about. And I really am very quite hopeful that, they're going to be going out there and making a commitment to come to the bargaining table. Stop negotiating in the media. Stop trying to pit parents against workers because workers are parents. And let's get to the table and do the right thing. This has gone on far too long, and I'm not sure why it is a necessity to go out and disparage the other side. We're here, we're ready to work, we're ready to go. Our members are back at work today. Let's hope for the best.
And just for the record, we here at BT, we did ask for Education Minister Stephen Lecce and Premier Doug Ford to see whether or not they would be available for an interview, and both declined this morning. So just to have that out there as well. Laura, can you take us through yesterday? We had, as you know, it's deja vu. We had this news conference yesterday at 9 o'clock. Again, I'm presuming that you had no idea what was going to happen at that time, but take us through listening to that news conference and hearing the Premier say that they will repeal Bill 28 as long as the walkout is off the table.
Absolutely. I think, first of all, it was a very confusing news conference. It was repeal Bill 28, talks about Section 33, which is why we had to take the time to get it in writing. So we do have it in writing that this bill is coming off the table. There are no other stipulations. It was get it off the table completely so it didn't exist in the law of Ontario. And then we would go back to the table. We would stand down our strikes. So, I really encourage Mr. Ford and I encourage Mr. Lecce today, keep in mind the promise that you made to the public, keep in mind the promise that you made to workers, and keep in mind the promise that you made to the entire labor movement. We're here in good faith. To do anything other today would be an absolute sign of bad faith, and I don't think that the province will support them.
Okay, a general strike that we had sources saying that was going to be the announcement yesterday at 10 o'clock. Is that the case, and is that something that would still kind of be on the table in the future if these negotiations don't go the way that they should?
Listen, I think what we saw yesterday was a visible sign of labor coming together. And I don't remember in my entire career that visible sign on that magnitude. But it really showed to me workers are united. And there are more workers than there are politicians. And it's time for the politicians to start listening to the people that keep this province running. Those people who are on the front lines every day, keeping our economies going, keeping our hospitals going, keeping our schools going. It's time to listen to those folks. I was so proud to be a worker in Ontario yesterday, so proud to see private and public sectors coming together, regardless of differences in our past, saying, no, enough is enough. This government needs to do the right thing.
So you're back at the bargaining table. As far as you know, 10 o'clock is when negotiations are supposed to begin once again. Are you confident that this new approach, let's say, to an old issue is going to be different this time?
I think we need to go in it with an open mind and a clear heart and say, let's get it done. I think, there are, a lot of things have happened. I think a lot of things have happened. And I think there was a lot of folks that, really showed their strength. And I just want to shout out to the workers of Ontario, the education workers of Ontario that showed their strength, that stood up to a bully and said, no, you're not going to do this on my watch. Because that's what we teach kids to do, right? Stand up to bullies. But I think we need to be clear. There's a flat rate increase on the table that needs to be addressed. These measly percentages are not going to get the deal done. The money is there. The revenue is up in the province of Ontario. These are about how you choose to spend your money. And quite frankly, an investment in our future is investing in education.
All right, Laura, thank you for joining us. I know that at 9 o'clock you will be watching along with the rest of us to see what is said at Queen's Park with a little bit of anxiety, it looks like.
Always going to be a little bit of anxiety. We need to really rebuild. We've got another 3 years of this government, and I hope Doug Ford recognizes that now is the chance that he can rebuild his relationship with Labour instead of destroying it further.
All right. Laura, thank you so much for joining us once again. That is Laura Walton from CUPE.